Good morning. If you are Brooke, we are here with Brooke Eggen. She is in the Pacific time over in Washington State. So we are going to be talking today about finding God in the everyday moments. And I would love it if you would respond by in the chats by letting us know where you're watching from, because right now we are representing the West Coast advocates. So if you're a West Coast advocate or connected to Brooke, go ahead and say hello and let us know in the comments where you're watching. So I'm going to let Brooke go ahead and introduce herself. And we have exciting news too, something we've not announced here on Facebook before.
Hi, my name is Brooke Eggen. I live in Washington State and have most of my life. I have 4 children, and I have been working as a volunteer with Call to Peace since I've completed advocacy courses in 2019. And then in the fall of this year, I was able to come on part-time as an advocate. And then our exciting news is that as of May 1st, I am a full-time employee working as an advocate coordinator and still doing the advocacy work. So I'm sort of the Western region of Portia. So now we're splitting the United States. So very exciting for me.
Yes, we are so excited to have you here. I am so sorry. I may have to get my dog inside. I apologize. I thought I had her outside. We're all good. So we're going to keep going here unless she doesn't stop. Hi. Oh, she's saying greetings from Georgia, a Southern lady. Hello. I'm in North Carolina, so I'm in the South region as myself. And so we are very excited that Brooke is here full time, and that is thanks to our donors at the end of the year campaign. We were able to bring Brooke on full time, and that has been such a blessing to us. She mentioned managing the Mountain Time Advocates. Do you want to tell them how many advocates are you managing currently?
Yeah, so in Pacific and Mountain Time, we have 27 affiliated advocates, and we have our class this year for advocacy training is quite full. And so I'm sure here pretty quick we'll be onboarding more. So it's exciting.
That is really exciting. So they are very grateful to have you as well. It's wonderful when you're an advocate to be able to have somebody like Brooke to be able to walk with you through the process and answer any questions that you have. Our advocates are never alone and are with somebody, Brooke or either Portia, who have an extensive amount of experience and training and can answer any questions that you have, which is amazing. And she's also an advocate herself. You want to tell them how many cases you're currently doing?
I manage somewhere around 25 cases. Not all of those are active all at once, but that is the amount of women at the current moment I am assigned to help walk through kind of dealing with this coercive control and abuse. So
yes. Well, we are grateful for you and all that you're doing for Call to Peace and walking with each of these women through the aftermath of domestic abuse. And today I'm excited because we're getting to talk about something. Everybody who's following us on Facebook probably saw your post that we posted this Sunday about finding God's love. And I just wanted to kind of talk with you further about that and just encourage the women that are watching. Often when you're alone as a single mom or it's so important so important for anybody to be connected with God. But I feel like we need that love in our hearts. We need to know that we are being pursued and that we are worthy of love. And so I'm excited to talk about that because it's a need we all have, is finding God's love for us in these everyday moments that we are not alone. There's never a moment that we're unloved and unseen, even when we feel unseen or unappreciated. So my first question for you is, what are ways we can look for God's presence and love in the everyday moments of our lives?
yeah, I think this is such a good question because I think what we do in our world right now is we're so busy. Post-COVID, we're trying to make up for 2 years of being not going out, especially if you live here in the Western regions. Like we just lost our mask mandate not that long ago. And life is starting to ramp back up and lots of demands on us. And so we're super busy. And I have just been really realizing how much I just need to pause in the busyness and take time to try to find God. And even if I just take 5 minutes and stop and say, okay, Lord, I want to see you and experience you in this moment. I don't even need to pull out my Bible. I just need to seek him, ask him, hey, Lord, will you come and show up? And he is a delightful father who just loves to lavish good gifts on us. And he wants to bless us in that way. And so that's one of the ways I've been working on sort of seeing him and experiencing him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, it's yeah, it's something I'm working on, being more mindful and kind of remembering, because otherwise I just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at Psalm 134, Psalm 143 this morning, and it says, for the enemy has pursued my soul. He has crushed my life to the ground. He has made me sit in darkness like those long dead. Therefore, my spirit faints within me, and my heart within me is appalled. And then the psalmist says, I remember the days of old. I meditate on all that you have done, and I ponder the work of your hands. I stretch out my hands to you, and my soul thirsts for you like a parched land. And it was
Mm,
just, I wasn't looking for that this morning, even though I was thinking about these questions, but I was just, that verse even is saying, I stretch out, I look for the Lord, and I start thinking about it. And so it's just how perfect you would ask me this question. And I was like, that's what I'm studying this morning. And even that, right? So God knew before the foundations of the earth, you were going to ask me that question, right? Like, how do we
mm,
see him in moments? And then that my Bible study was going to be Psalm 143 this morning. It wasn't that I went, oh, I'm going to go find that verse. He just did do that. And
mhm,
then I was like, oh, hey, that's amazing. Thank you, Lord, because I wanted an answer for Lauren and for Facebook
mhm,
viewers. And I didn't have to go search for it. You just put it there before me to love me and to show me, I see you in this moment. You're looking for an answer, and here it is. And
mm.
he just is like that. He just does those kinds of things.
I love that. And I'm thinking of the verse right now that he will, there's a verse, I believe it's in the Old Testament, but it says that he answers us before we call,
Yeah.
and it's like he's preparing and he's just waiting for us to call out to him because he's got the answers there. He's just,
Yep.
his love is there. We just need, sometimes we don't have, or we're not experiencing because we're not asking God, show us your love, reveal yourself here to us in this moment, or seeking him for the answers that we need. Um, for whatever we're facing in that moment.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that too. And I had a time in my life where um, I thought about, I loved God, but I was hurt really badly by
Mhm,
the circumstances in my life when my marriage ended. And I didn't feel particularly loved by him. And so over the last several years, as I've tried to, as the Lord has been ministering to my heart in different ways and healing ways, I feel like he has told me, Brooke, I didn't break the trust between us, that you don't trust me. And I didn't do that, but I'm willing to rebuild that even though, because I love you that much. And then he starts doing it in some ways of, like studying his word and prayer and fellowship with other people, but also in these moments of like, hey, there was a time in my life when I wanted a different bed than the one I had because
mhm,
I've been chronically ill over the last 10, 15 years. And I had a queen size bed and it wasn't big enough for me and my girls to do homeschool in or just different kinds of things. But I could not ask the Lord because I didn't need it, right? It wasn't a need, it was a want.
mhm,
And the Lord provided the exact bed I would have chosen to buy for myself, or, he just gave it to me for free from a friend through a different source. And in that moment, I felt very much like, oh, you see me and you see me enough, even when I'm not willing to ask, even when I'm scared to say, this is what my
mhm,
needs are. He's like, you know what? I love you enough to keep coming after you and helping you to trust me again. Because I didn't break that trust, but I'm willing to rebuild it. And I'm just so grateful to him because lots of little incidents like that happen. This morning's Bible study. Oh, that's perfect for the question Lauren's asking. And the
mhm.
Lord saying, see, I love you and I am watching out for you.
Wow, that's so good. And yes, I've had those experiences before too, like where God's like, ask for this, and you're just like so scared, and you're like, God, I don't know
Hmm.
what this means. And you ask, and then you're like, God, you provide. I remember my thing was a washer and dryer. I didn't have a washer and dryer, and God's like, ask. And I'm like, I've never been with people that's like prayed big prayers and God's just like sent this thing along. But
Right.
since I have taken this step of faith, I've seen him do it. Now it's like a
Isn't that
different faith
amazing?
walk. But like, I'm like, God, place in a washer and dryer. The next day, somebody called me with a free washer and dryer. And it's just like, it's one of those things. It's like, God's like, I care. Like you're saying about the little things. This, well,
Mhm.
the washer and dryer is not little and the bed's not little with the chronic illness and things like that. But to us, since we become an abuse, we feel like we're not, like you were mentioning earlier, we were talking, we don't feel worthy of asking or
Mhm.
worthy of this gift. But God's like, you are worthy. And I
Mhm.
want to give you these things. And not only that, he delights to give us those good things in everyday moments. And sometimes I feel like, as you're mentioning too, that we miss them because we're
Mhm.
so like distracted. We don't see God pursuing us.
Mhm.
Um, And so, but he's there, and there's ways that we
Mhm.
can invite him into those moments, which
Mhm.
leads me to my next question for you is how do we invite him into the small moments of our lives?
Yeah. Well, I think there's that verse that says, pray without ceasing, right? And we would all, especially our younger selves, would say, I could never pray without ceasing. My mind is always going in different directions. But I think as we mature in Christ, we realize that really that's partly having the door always open, right? Like as you're having conversation, through the day, you're conversating with the Lord. What is this? Why did you do this? How come this is happening? Hey, can you give me strength right now? I'm really annoyed at my kid, and so one of those ways of praying is to say, Lord, I don't see you here in this, but where are you? Because we know he is. We know that he hasn't left us or forsaken us in a moment, so some of that is just inviting him in or asking him to open our eyes. God, I want to see you in in these moments. And
Hmm.
then when those moments come, pausing, right? So some of the things that my kids know will happen is if we're driving down the road, and I live in an area where I can see Mount Rainier on kind of a regular basis. And
Ooh.
so if Mount Rainier is out and it's not cloudy, we will pull the car over and just stop and just be like, man, Lord, that is so cool. That is amazing. The beauty, the natural beauty that you have given us that is just there for us to enjoy and to give you
Mhm.
glory for, or hey, my daughter had a moment where she had just prayed for something and then the Lord answered within just a few minutes. And then we stopped and we said, okay, look, the Lord answered that prayer. Let's take a few minutes to tell him thank you, to actually see it, and not just go, okay, that happened. And in 5 minutes, I'll enjoy it. No, take that moment and enjoy it. And then, just keeping your eyes open for it. Cause I think he is trying to always get our attention. He's always telling a love story in our life.
Oh, that's beautiful. He's always telling a love story in our lives.
Yeah.
I love that. And it is definitely exciting love story and journey, like constantly opening our eyes to look and see and seeing that his love out lavishes and outshines any human's love
Hmm.
whatsoever. And as we
Hmm.
press to him and look for his love, well, sometimes we don't have to look for it. We just have to have open eyes and realize like what he's doing in our lives. Like it's just kind of like blown away at how much God loves me and loves you and each person watching and how much he desires us. And it's so satisfying beyond any human love that you can experience. And I have definitely seen that true in my life as I've opened, you know what I mean? Like when you become desperate and you start clinging more to God and you're like, God just showed me. And I feel like his heart, it is a special place for women who find themselves in the same situation that we're in, and he delights in pursuing us. The Lord, the Bible says that the Maker is our husband,
Hmm.
and I believe that he
Hmm.
pursues single women and unique ways to reveal his love to them, that they are not alone.
Hmm. Yeah, it's so
Um,
true. And it's so amazing.
yes. Oh, sorry. Do you have something else to say?
Nope, you're doing great. Nope.
Sorry, it was just it felt like my computer was cutting off or anything. Um, how do you see God working in your life as an advocate in the small moments and renewing your strength and renewing and strengthening you to serve these women through His power and might?
Yeah, well, I think this is a really pertinent question that I've been wrestling over for the last 6 months or so, because when I came on as a part-time advocate, paid advocate with Call to Peace, then there are just it there were cases that I was assigned or intake interviews that I was doing where the intensity of sin in this world was very much on display.
Mm.
And the ability of one person to sin against another was really um, really clear and overwhelming. And I had moments where I would be panicking because I'd be on the phone with someone and I would think, I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do about this. And I would get off the phone and feel like, oh my gosh, I failed. And the
Mm.
Lord, in his kindness and goodness to me, has really directed my heart towards I'm not supposed to be the answer. God is. And so in those moments when I'm on the phone, he doesn't want me to have every single answer. Now, I might be able to reach out to someone and ask, like, hey, what do I do about this? But if I can't fix what's broken with them right that in that moment, that's not actually my job. That's God's job. And he's asking me to just be present. And it was this whole idea of like, I'm not responsible for this. I'm just standing in his place. I'm being the hands and feet of Christ. And there's so much freedom in that because there's that verse, right? My yoke is easy, my burden is light. And I will be honest and say, like, I'm a bit of a wrestler with the Lord. And so I'm often saying, okay, I'm often saying, like, so frustrating. It doesn't feel light, Lord. And he keeps coming back. And this is one of the ways in which he said, Brooke, this is one of the ways in which it's lighter than you think it is because you're not the answer. You are supposed to be my hands and feet. I'm the answer. I'm going to work this out. I have a really specific event that I remember when this happened. I was on the phone with a client and she needed a $5,000 retainer for her lawyer. And it was like, if she doesn't have it that day or the next, then the lawyer was going to have to, just couldn't serve her anymore. And I get off the phone and I don't have $5,000 to give her and I don't have a way to get her $5,000. And I just felt so defeated and I prayed and I was like, Lord, I don't understand what's going on. And then within a few hours, the Lord provided that money through an anonymous donor. And it was another way the Lord was like, look, Brooke, I love you and you're not the answer. I'm the answer. Your job is to just say, like, I believe, to believe for her when she can't believe, to resource network for her, but to just love her, and and it was and he just does that over and over in my life. And that's part of why I love being an advocate is because it pushes me to need Christ on a daily basis. And then he has to show up because I don't have it in me, And so it's that like, Lord, okay, you gave me this woman. Now I have to love her. And I don't want to burn out. I want to stay in this with them. How do I do that? And then he just keeps showing up, that Psalm 143, my enemies have pursued my soul. I'm feeling pursued, Lord. I'm feeling hopeless. And then he's like, but remember the days of old. Oh yeah, you have been faithful. You did give me this bed. You did give me a coffee machine. I have these stories of, that sparkle of God's love in my life. And that's what I love about doing this work.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That was really neat to get a glimpse into that as well. And that encourages my heart. And I hope many other women watching this too, as an advocate, or if you're thinking about being an advocate, is that God is the one who rescues and saves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many times, especially women who end up in abuse, a lot of times not anybody's fault, but we tend to be more rescuer type people. And we tend to think that we need to rescue and save this person. And that's actually a sense. I was talking to Andre, who is on our church partnership team earlier today because we were talking about some things. And he was saying, that's actually a sense of idol in our own life when we feel that we have to rescue somebody. We want to feel needed. We want to feel like we did something or help somebody. But God really just wants us in a place of saying, God, just work through me, flow through me. And then when that woman is being helped, we knew that Jesus did that. That was not us. It was just God working through us. And I feel like that's so amazing. That's what being an advocate is, just saying, yes, Lord, I'm here. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to allow you just to give me the answers. And sometimes things come out of your mouth and you're like, I didn't know I knew that, but God did,
Right.
And so, yes.
Yeah, so good. And you get to then, because you weren't the answer, then you can say, like, it really was Jesus. It's Jesus telling his love story in your life. This is God pursuing you and reconciling to you, even though he wasn't the one who broke your heart. He is still going to heal it. And he happily, cheerfully loves to do that work. And he isn't ever going, you asked again. I'm done. I'm good. You've asked 5 times today. He doesn't get tired like we do. And so it's such a beautiful thing. God is just so much better than we could ever imagine.
Yes, he is. And I've seen that too in my own work here at Call to Peace, like with the communication thing and seeing God provide money through our people that are partnering with us for women to hire you and to bring you on because he wants you there for them, or he provides scholarships for the retreat, or the money we need for the retreat, or church partners. And it's like, this stuff is like so much. I just want to show every woman, I'm like, God loves and cares so much for you, so much, and he's providing and making a way because he wants you to know him and wants you to find healing and wholeness and to know the truth that he's not like abusive men. He's not lording over pursuing you in love and drawing you to himself. And I just love that about Call to Peace. There's so many amazing stories we can go into. But I did want to talk to you a little bit about advocacy as well, since we were talking about that and God working through us. And we were talking that it's a huge need right now. Do you want to tell them how many women we had reach out to us last month?
So last month we had 52 women request advocacy through the advocacy intake form on our website. So that's a lot of women. We only have around
Yes.
77 advocates, and so that would mean every single active advocate is taking a case in a month, and that's a lot because obviously there's 12 months in a year. So um, so we really have a strong need for advocates. And if you feel like the Lord is calling you to that place, I would really encourage you to reach out through Facebook, or Portia and I each have our own email addresses, and reach out to us and ask, like, hey, what would it look like? How does that, what does it look like to be an advocate? How much time does it take? What do I need to do? There's all of these pieces that we would love to just think through with you. Even if you decide this isn't for me, I would love to have a conversation with you about what it can look like. I'm a single mom. I have 4 children. I homeschool. I've got a lot of pieces in my life. So it's not like we're asking, 20 hours a week or something, but if you feel like maybe God is calling you to that, I would love to explore that and see.
Yes, absolutely. And I was going to share too, we were talking before we joined here too, is like it's not the time commitment for everybody is very different. I'm a volunteer advocate with Call to Peace, and I have a limited time that I have available, but through our intake that Naomi does with each person that calls, I'm able to say, she knows me and knows of our advocates, and say, okay, this person's going to require about this amount of time a week. This advocate here can do about this amount of time a week. So they have available. So they'll call you and say, hey, we've got this case. It's going to be about this amount of time a week. Are you available or not? And so you get to set your schedule there as far as availability and what you can and can't do. So it's very flexible in that way too, as well. So if you're thinking about it, it's definitely such a great way to serve and to be involved in helping a woman find hope and healing after domestic abuse, and just walking with her through the process of overcoming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So we are excited that Brooke is here full time and all that God is doing. And if you need an advocate, please reach out. We want to assist everybody, and so nobody is ever turned away.
Right.
So please do reach out if you need an advocate as well. We definitely want to serve you too. And if you're watching this again and you feel called to be advocate, I'm going to link in the top of our post here the link to our website where you can fill out a form that says you would like to be an advocate, and somebody can be in touch with you. We have a year-long advocacy training program through House of Peace that we do with Dr. Deborah Wingfield. And it's amazing. I'm taking it again for the second time. And I was listening to it again yesterday, and I was like, oh my goodness, like it's so much to learn, and it's so awesome stuff too. I just recommend any survivor as well, just go through that, please. You will be able to process and understand what you went through so much greater if you have an understanding of all the ins and outs of domestic abuse and what it looks
Mm-hmm.
like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is a great course. I'm in the same boat, starting to take the classes again. And just yesterday, uh, just so encouraged, and new things like, oh, I don't remember that. That was so good, to be reminded, because we can always grow in this place. So, and it was very healing for me. I took the very first course in 2019, and I still didn't understand all of what abuse was and where was it in my life. And I'd only been divorced 2 weeks when I started classes, and I was so grateful for the insight that Dr. Deborah and Joy bring to what what had happened to me in my life, and I was able to go, oh, that, it starts to assemble, everything's kind of blurry when you're first out, or when you haven't been able to process it through, and it starts to clarify, like, oh, that's what was happening in that circumstance. That's why I felt off kilter and I felt like I was crazy, because I wasn't crazy. He was lying, or whatever, and so it was so helpful to me. And then as an advocate, just continuing to be open and curious about how can I be better has been really helpful for me.
Yes. Yeah, and it's not too late to join the course. I'll link that as well into the top of the comments here. You can join it at any time. I just started back watching it again yesterday, um, for the first time this year. So I was like, oh, I need to go through this again. And so you can jump in and start anytime, and it's always good. You're learning new stuff, and it's just very healing, and it's also good for you to learn and grow. Oh, Nicole is saying hello too. She
Hey,
is also
Nicole.
an advocate and the classes as well, helping give the biblical perspective on different issues that we may face when dealing with domestic abuse. So we are thankful for your time today. And is there anything else that you would like to add or close with before we go?
I think I just want to say I'm super grateful for our advocates. They do volunteer work for us most of the time. Most of them are volunteers, and they have a passion for helping women. And I'm so grateful for their willingness to serve with us at Called to Peace, because without them, we wouldn't have ministry. And so I'm just super grateful for them. And every one of them is following Jesus into places that are scary. I mean, Lauren, as a volunteer, there are times when it's just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And God, you have to keep
Mm-hmm.
trusting the Lord. And so I'm just so grateful that we have women and men who are willing to follow Christ in that way.
Yes, and we do have men advocates too. I do want to point that out. So thank you for saying that as well. We have pastors actually that go through this training, and was just speaking with somebody yesterday that's a pastor that went through the training and was saying how much it has benefited him, and he's developing a huge passion for other pastors to go through this because it's so helpful. But yeah, I think we've had several men go through it that are ministry leaders. Some of them gone through it with their wives, and they do it together, which I think is really awesome too.
I think that's really awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us. And if y'all have any questions too, just leave them in the comments and I can tag Brooke and she can answer them. And if you want to leave your email in the comments as well. That way, if anybody wants to contact you about being an advocate, you can.
Definitely
As
do
she
that.
mentioned, we love to talk to you about. Well, y'all guys have a good afternoon. Thank you everyone who joined us today, and we will see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.